The Song of the Silent Sea. High on a windy cliff in 1986, Sora stood with her hair dancing in the salt spray. She looked out at the vast, gray Atlantic, searching for a puff of mist or a dark tail. The ocean felt too quiet, as if it were holding its breath. Sora knew that far out in the deep, the great giants were in trouble, and the world was finally starting to listen. Sora's father, Jens, was a marine biologist who spent his days studying the songs of the deep. He knelt beside her on the grass, spreading out a map covered in blue lines and whale migration paths. "For too many years, Sora, the ships have taken too many whales," he said softly. "But this year, something is changing. The people of the world are meeting to decide if the hunting should stop forever." Far beneath the waves, where the light turns into a shimmering emerald glow, a great humpback whale named Kanoa glided through the silence. He was a singer of songs, his voice vibrating through the water for hundreds of miles. But his song was lonely. In the vast blue, there were fewer and fewer voices answering his calls, and the shadows of the iron giants, the whaling ships, loomed above. Kanoa was not entirely alone. Swimming close to his side was Lono, a young calf who mimicked every flick of his tail. Kanoa pushed Lono gently toward the surface so the little one could breathe. They lived in a world of constant movement, always hiding from the heavy thrumming of engines that echoed through the floor of the sea. Thousands of miles away, in a grand hall filled with the murmur of many languages, the International Whaling Commission was meeting. Anika, a delegate with a sharp mind and a kind heart, sat at a long wooden table. She looked at photos of whales like Kanoa and knew that a maybe or a later would not be enough. The time for the great ban had come. Beside her sat Kenji, a scientist from across the globe. They whispered together, sharing data and hopes. When the moment came to vote, Anika raised her hand high, and so did Kenji. One by one, hands went up like a forest of hope. In 1986, the world spoke with one voice. The commercial hunting of whales would be banned. The giants would finally be safe. Back on the cliff, the wind carried the news. Sora and Jens huddled around a small, battery-powered radio. Through the static, the announcer's voice was clear. A global moratorium has been declared. Sora hugged her father's arm, a giant smile breaking across her face. "They did it, Papa," she cried. "The whales can keep their songs." Out in the deep, the change was felt, not in words, but in silence. Kanoa watched as a massive whaling ship, which had been following his trail for days, slowly turned its bow. The heavy thrum of its engine faded into the distance, heading back to a far-off port. For the first time in his long life, the horizon belonged only to the sea. Kanoa let out a thunderous burst of air from his blowhole and breached, his massive body leaping entirely out of the water. Lono followed, a smaller splash beside a giant one. They crashed back into the waves, sending spray high into the air. It was a dance of freedom, a celebration that rippled through the currents of every ocean on Earth. Sora watched the horizon through her binoculars, and for the first time, she saw it. A distant, misty spray, then another. She didn't need to see them clearly to know they were there. The year 1986 became a promise kept by the world. The ocean was no longer silent. It was full of life, and the great song of the giants would play on for generations to come.